Hello, Year 5, and welcome back after half term. I hope you've enjoyed some time with your family and enjoyed the sunshine. Now, we're going to do a little bit of writing today. I'm just going to share the screen with you. And I thought we could recap some key skills that would really uplift your writing style and composition skills. So let's have a look, shall we? Can you make sure you've got yourself a pen and a paper? Let's have a look at our spellings, because this week on the Monday motivation sheet, you had some homophones. How would you spell the word bridal in the first sentence here? She's at her wedding in her bridal outfit. How about the word desert? He rode across the desert on a horse. How about the word aloud? She said the word aloud. You might want to pause the video while you write those down. Now, you might have remembered that we used bridal, A-L, thinking A, love. We used desert with one S, it's so hot in the desert, as opposed to so strawberry delicious, for two S's in dessert. I quite often think about a loud voice when somebody's saying something aloud. Okay, coming to our writing. I'm going to be asking you to remember that sometimes writing needs to be crafted. You might need to vary your sentence lengths, change the beginnings of the ways you start sentences. You might need to think about crafting in some ambitious punctuation, moving phrases and clauses around to suit yourself, and therefore using a range of conjunctions. Let's have a look. This is what writing sometimes looks like. It can be a bit boring. I got up in the morning. I ate my breakfast. Then I got dressed. It was quite hot. I went downstairs to do some reading. Sounds quite repetitious, doesn't it? A bit boring. We could use conjunctions to join some clauses together. That would help us vary our sentence lengths. Let's have a look. I got up in the morning and I ate my breakfast. Then I got dressed as it was quite hot. I went downstairs to do some reading. Sounds better. It's a start. Still not as well crafted as it could be. You will need to remember your coordinating conjunctions. Remember this, fanboys? I'm sure you do. We've got a poster in our classroom. Sometimes we're using our subordinating conjunctions to create some subordinate clauses. This acronym SUBWAY sometimes helps us think about those as some key subordinating conjunctions, but there are many more. Now you know, and I've seen you experimenting with the placing of your clauses. Sometimes you have a main clause at the beginning of a sentence, followed by a subordinate clause, like this. I got up in the morning when it was light. But I've seen you moving clauses around, like this. Putting your subordinate clause at the beginning of your sentence. And you know when you do that, you need to add a comma. When it was light, I got up in the morning, and this then becomes your capital letter to start your sentence. I've seen you using different kinds of placements of phrases and clauses, and that's what to think about this week. Now, you could also think about using last week's semicolon. Look at the second sentence here. When it was light, comma, I got up in the morning, semicolon, I was ready to start the day. Your second clause is linked to your first clause and it's extended your sentence. It's beginning to look a bit well crafted here. Remember earlier in the year, we also used a dash. Play around with different forms of punctuation. Now, if you're combining everything, you could come up with something like this. When it was light, I got up in the morning, I was ready to start the day, and I could already hear my family in the kitchen. You've now added more information at the end of your sentence. You could even think about adding some embedded clause information. Look at this one. When it was light, I got up in the morning, I was ready to start the day, and I could already hear my family, who were early risers, in the kitchen. Remember how we learnt to embed additional clauses or phrases within brackets. Here you have a relative clause embedded in the middle of that end part of your sentence. It's getting much more interesting now. So if you're ready to vary sentence lengths, you might like to think about the fact that you've crafted some long sentences and now you might like to follow with a shorter sentence. Let's have a look, shall we? When it was light, I got up in the morning. I was ready to start the day and I could hear my family who were early risers in the kitchen. Another day in lockdown. I went downstairs to do some reading. Can you hear how this shorter sentence gives you a punch, followed by a mid-range sentence? That's how to grab your reader and draw them in. Now, it's not just about the construct of your sentences. You also need to think about your language choice, and that's where your personal style comes as a writer. You can create atmosphere and mood through your vocabulary choices. Let's have a look here. When the delicate dawnlight began to filter through my bedroom curtains, I got up. I was poised to start the day, and I could hear my beloved family, who were early risers, pottering around in the kitchen, the hub of our home. Another day in lockdown. You can see I've played with the length of the sentences and I've made some vocabulary choices. Can you spot the alliteration? So this week I'd like you to experiment with your writing style. I've got some suggestions here of titles that you could use for writing a story. The River Adventure. The Day I Found a Dog. Shopping for Ice Creams. My Crazy Family. I am an astronaut on the SpaceX flight. I hope that one of those titles will excite you and that you can do some writing of your own, thinking about all of the things that we've talked about today. You might want to pause the screen and write down those signs of success to help you develop your own personal writing style. I look forward to talking to you again in another short online lesson. But for now, enjoy your writing.